My father's motto was one shot, one kill. Well, he lived by it and he died by it. Because I fucking shot him with one bullet and he died.
Welcome to Lane's Domain, where we deconstruct the game of life one player at a time. Today's guest player is Mark. Mark's led a life most of us can't even imagine in our worst nightmares. Abused, tortured, and beaten, physically and verbally, by his psychotic, narcissistic father. Forced to never cry and to hold in his feelings, not only from the physical beatings he endured regularly, but also the pain and anger over witnessing the beatings and abuse of his siblings and his mother. In 1983, at the age of 16, Mark could no longer hold it in. After a particularly lengthy and vicious beating, including with a steel shop hammer, Mark decided to end the extreme suffering. He grabbed a shotgun and killed his father. One shot, one kill. Thinking that this would end his family's problems, he was sorely mistaken, as the next 20 years of his life would be equally nightmarish. His story was big, written about in all the local and national newspapers and interviewed on every television talk show of the day. Let's take a walk back in time to hear a young Mark on the Jenny Jones Show recounting some of the events that led up to the killing, as well as the killing itself. After this short clip, we'll join Mark today as he shares with us what happened after the killing.
Tell us, if you would, what happened the day that it happened, and then we'll go back to what led up to you doing this.
I'd stayed out of school and I'd come home. My father asked me, well, I walked in the door and my mother said, your father knows. So I knew what she meant. He knew I stayed out of school. So he came into the kitchen and he goes, Mark, you stayed out of school? I said, yes. And he walked up to me and punched me in the face 3 times and I felt, and he started calling me a liar and all this other shit. He's saying, why'd you stay out of school? And all you do is keep making problems for him. He was kicking me. And he asked me where I went, so I told him I stayed at my sister's house. So he had my mother call my sister and tell her that she wasn't allowed in the house. My father said, you call your sister, and my mother. Told my mother to call her daughter and tell her that she wasn't allowed in the house anymore and that she couldn't come around. And so my mother called my sister and told her that she wasn't allowed in the house anymore and stay away from us.
And what did he do to you?
He was still hitting me while my mother was on the phone with my sister.
With his fist?
Yeah, well, he was hitting me, he was kicking me, he was banging my head up against the wall. And so he told my mother to take down a Christmas tree because it was December 19th of 83. He said, there's not going to be a Christmas in this house. You guys are a bunch of liars, you're no good, you're asshole, you're worthless. And my sister was upstairs and my father said, you tell that come downstairs and help you take down this Christmas tree. So my mother had my sister come down. They were taking the tree down. My father was still beating him. And
He hit you with
he hit me.
a baseball bat?
Yeah, well, not
At that time, but in the past he had with a baseball bat?
yeah,
And the day...
actually 3 of my ribs. The day that I killed him, there was a machine shop hammer that I had brought home because my friend had it when he got off the bus. See, I used to get off the bus in front of my house. I used to go back to the school and get on the bus and then get dropped off from the front. In the morning, I used to get on the bus. So he couldn't figure out, saying, when the school called that day and said I wasn't in school, he says, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, I watched him get on the bus. They said, well, he might have got on the bus, but he didn't come into school. So that really pissed him off, because I was being sneaky. So when I came home, he was really pissed. So,
And he, what did he do with the hammer?
he hit me in the back of the head with the head of the hammer, and it was 1-inch cold steel. And then he placed the head of the hammer in his hand, and he was using the handle of it. He smashed me on the side of my face, on my back, my chest, my legs.
So you decided that you'd had enough?
Well, yeah, after about 35 minutes, he was beat. Not continuously just kicking me and punching me, but he would stop and just yell and scream at me. He'd get something to drink, and then
Were you bleeding and things like that?
no, I had a lot of internal anger.
Okay. So what'd you do?
So the last time my father hit me, he kicked me in the face, and my sister and my mother were still taking down the Christmas tree. So I was lucky. I had a leather jacket on, and that absorbed a lot of the kicks and stuff. So I crawled across the kitchen floor, and I got up in the living room, and I walked up the stairs. My sister was coming down.
Then your father already went upstairs, right?
No, my father stayed downstairs.
Okay.
He's still screaming and bitching, saying,
Okay.
worthless piece of shit, you're never gonna be anything. And he's telling my mother that he was gonna kill my mother, and he was gonna kill me, and he was gonna nail us to the floor and burn the house down. It was a real...
So your dad's still downstairs and you went upstairs.
I'd gone upstairs, because he wanted me to help him with the Christmas tree. So I walked upstairs, I grabbed the shotgun. We had guns out throughout the house. So I grabbed the shotgun, I opened it up. I wanted to see what kind of shell was in it. And it was a 3-inch mag 00 buck.
Now what are you thinking at this time?
Oh, I was gonna kill him.
Had you thought about it before?
No.
So this was just,
When I was about 13 years old, he beat my brother. And I wanted to kill him that day, but I didn't. That was 3 years before I killed him. And but that day, I just couldn't believe the beating that he had given me. And he just freaked and just lost it. He used to beat me a lot, but nothing like he did.
what kind of things did he do to you? Besides beating, there was a lot of abuse.
Yeah. Well, when he used to do all weird shit. He hung me down the cellar with handcuffs for about 6 to 8 hours in the dark because I was afraid of the dark. He used to do all weird.
What did that do to you? How did you handle that? Well, you're hanging there in the dark? How old?
I don't know, 6 or 7. Big.
God.
While we were down the cellar, and I shut off the light, and there was a divided. The cellar was divided, so I ran from the dark part of the cellar into the lighted part, and he was standing there. He goes, "What's the matter?" I go, "Well, nothing." He goes, "What's the matter?" I go, "Well, I'm kind of afraid of the dark." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it." He goes, "Hold on." Went upstairs, grabbed a pair of handcuffs, came back downstairs, and handcuffed me to a rafter.
And you're 7 years old.
And shut off the rest of the lights and went upstairs like nothing was going on.
How long did you leave it there?
For about, I'd say 6 to 8 hours. Yeah.
And I was also told that he shaved your head.
No.
Oh, that was Johnny.
Yeah.
What?
So let me get back to when I killed him. And so I was upstairs, I checked the shotgun, and I came downstairs, and my sister was coming up the stairs with a box, and she just looked at me. And my mother was standing in the living room, and I walked by her, and I said, "I'm gonna end this shit." She didn't think I was gonna kill him. And I leaned up against the chimney, and we made the sign of the cross, and I asked God to give me the strength to do the right thing. And he was still screaming, and still saying, "You're no fucking good. Your mother's a slut," all this other shit. But, so I put the gun up on my shoulder, and I was looking for a target. I already had the sights lined up, but I had no target. And so I went into the kitchen. He wasn't in the kitchen. The bathroom, I looked in the bathroom, but I could hear his voice coming from his bedroom. So I swept into the doorway, and I just looked at him, and I shot him.
And what was going through your mind?
Oh, I thought I was going to prison. Right after I pulled the trigger, I stood there, and once the smoke cleared from the shell, I just looked at him, and there was blood everywhere. I was like, "What the fuck?" And my mother screamed, my sister screamed, my mother tried to call the cops, but she was too nervous. She couldn't dial the phone. So we went upstairs, and I'd called the Haverhill police, and I told them that I just shot my father. I wasn't sure if he was dead, because when I was still down there looking at him, he was kind of moving around, he was twitching. And at that time, I was in shock, because
You didn't even know.
I knew what I was doing, but, I was like, I should have known that he was dead, but he was moving around and shit. And fell downstairs, and I thought he was alive. I thought he was coming up after us. And I dropped the phone while I was talking to the cops, and I started looking for another bullet. And I had a box of bullets right in front of me, and I didn't even see him. I was going nuts. And then I heard the siren, so I felt a little bit better. And when the cops got there, I said, "You gotta be careful." I said, "I'm not sure if he's dead." He had like 4 or 5 guns right side of his bed. And they were all loaded. So I told the cops, I said, you better watch out. So they were quite cautious before they went into them.
But he was dead.
He was dead, yeah. And I went into the room with the cops, and I wish I didn't because, I don't know, but I have a lot of nightmares. I just see it.
I want to ask you what it's like for you now after we come back from.
So after I killed my dad, was trying to get work. Couldn't go to school anymore. They didn't want me at the high school, at the vocational school I was going to. I had the school counselors and most of the administration testify against me at my trial. So they felt that I was going to be a huge disturbance at the school. So they didn't want me back there. And I went back to the high school. And after going through the trial and everything, I was, I've been through a lot, and I don't know, I went into the high school and I got off on the wrong foot. I was in there smoking, and I don't know, I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing. I was walking into the school with a cigarette. Went into a couple classes, and I was, the teachers were like, Mark, stop talking. I'm like, I'm not talking. People were talking to me, and I was a disturbance in the classroom.
So did you find that you were popular after that?
I was in every newspaper. I was on, TV. So yeah, I became very, very popular for the wrong reasons. I knew everybody, which was crazy. I could buy drugs because I knew people that had them, and sell them because I knew people who wanted them. Because we're all, at that point in the 80s, we all wanted to experiment and use them. But I took it a step further. I don't know, right after I killed him, I thought life was going to be better. But I was just going through a lot. I was having a lot of nightmares. Couldn't sleep at night. It was weird because I knew he was dead, but in my dreams he was alive and he was still coming after me, just still abusive. It was weird. And then I'd wake up knowing he was dead, but it was just, my dreams were so lucid. They just seemed so real. Then I discovered cocaine and started using that. And boy, that took a hold of me. Made you feel good, you didn't really worry about anything except wanting more. It was a horrible journey, I'll tell you that. And ultimately, towards the end, I was shooting up.
Pick the ache of addiction versus the anxiety of picking up. If I know myself, all I know what gives up. That's why I'm staring at my phone, knowing that I'll call, but hoping that I don't. I need my self-prescribed reasons.
When did you start shooting up?
Well, the first time I did it, I was in jail. I was in New Hampshire. That's where it started.
What were you charged with, Mark?
Trafficking cocaine. I believe I was like 26 years old. And I did a couple years in the county jail, and then I did more time in prison. I was getting in so much trouble in there, in the jail. And I was on probation while I was in jail. So my probation officer was coming in and yelling at me, and I was dirty all the time. I was using coke. I was doing heroin in there.
So did the drugs make you feel better? What were you hoping to get from them?
No, I was just,
mask and everything.
it was crazy. I ran from all my troubles. And, it was just, didn't really deal with killing my father. I thought, you think you can just pull the trigger and it's over. Far from it. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of feelings that go along with it, He was my father, so I did love him. I don't know, I feared him more than I respected him, but I did have respect for him too, because he was an intelligent person. He knew how to fix cars. He knew how to wire. He knew electrical. He knew plumbing. He was a smart guy. He knew all about the laws. I mean, inside and out. He could recite. He could cite chapters and sections and crazy. But and a lot of people respected him. So I mean, I respect him for that reason. That people respected him. I mean, they feared him. They feared him. They're just like me. You know, I feared him more than I respected him. There was a lot of people that felt that way. I believe everybody who ever fucking came across him, to be honest, because he just had that persona. He was he took no shit from nobody. He gave people a lot of shit, but he didn't take any. He would make it clear how he felt about people. There was no question whether or not, if he liked you, you'd know it. If he didn't like you, you would know it. He would make it very clear.
Who did your father like and not like, and why?
Well, see, that's the whole thing. I wasn't. It's weird because there was a lot of cops he liked, and there was a lot of cops he disliked. Anybody that basically didn't go with the way he wanted things to go. And, you know, I think anybody who showed him any opposition, I believe, he disliked, you know. But he spoke in Italian a lot. You know, whenever his family was around or his friends, they all spoke Italian. He didn't want us understanding exactly what they were talking about. So, but you knew when he didn't like anybody, he would, you know, he would express himself, so.
And you guys pretty much had to walk on pins and needles, didn't you? Did you have him pegged?
Yeah, we had it pegged. We all did. Waking up with a heartbeat and breathing pissed him off. Oh, I'd come home from school and first thing I'd open the door, and very quietly too, try to just be real quiet, open the screen door. If you pull it, you'd cause some suction. So you just want to do it real slow so you don't make any noise. And then creep open the other door and then look inside and go, "Ma, what kind of mood's Dad in?" She'll just look at you and she'll shake her head like, "Shh, he's sleeping," or "He's in a bad mood." We learned her looks, I mean, at a very young age. And it sucked. But I mean, that was as fucked up as it sounds today, that was my normal everyday life, though. I didn't realize how messed up it was. That was just how, be quiet, you know, fucking we'd be so quiet in that house because we didn't want to wake him up because he was an asshole when he woke up. And he would keep you busy all friggin' day long. I mean, he would have chore after chore after chore after chore. And if we ran out of shit to do, we'd start at the beginning all over again because he would go and point something out and he wouldn't tell you. "Oh, you left a spot." And he said, I swear there was never freaking a spot that we left. He would just make us do it over again. And he wouldn't tell you where it was. So we'd be washing and waxing the car, vacuuming it out. I mean, the damn thing was spotless all the time. "Oh, you missed a spot. Figure it out." And that meant do it over. So, I mean, we learned how to do everything right the very first time, but he would always find some sort of fault. And no matter what it was that we did, it was never a good job. When we would go shoot against the state police, just target practicing. But, you know, there are men in their state police officers, and we're kids, and we're just, you know, we're out shooting them. He would have this proud sense of, "These are my boys," you know what I mean? And he would say in front of them, "Good job, you know, all right, breathe, you know, steady." He would just and we knew exactly how to aim and just squeeze the trigger and to be accurate. But he would still throw out these commands like, "I'm watching you. I'm paying attention. Don't fucking let me down here. Don't make me look bad in front of these police officers. These are my friends." And he wanted us to beat them. If you missed, hit you with the fucking gun. He'd rip it out of your hands and hit you in the head with it. So it was nerve-wracking. Fucked up.
So you really had to hit your target with one shot.
No, my father's motto was "one shot, one kill." Well, he lived by it and he died by it because I fucking shot him with one bullet and he died. So he wanted to fucking train me how to kill with one bullet, so I did.
You said that you felt guilty because you loved him and respected his skills and abilities.
I didn't feel guilt but for many years. At first, I felt relief. I felt like, when I first did it, I thought for sure I was going to prison. So I had all these thoughts, and I was so in love with Kelly, and I'm like, now this is going to shit because I wanted to be with her, and now I'm going away for the rest of my life because it was just the circumstances that were coming to, like everything that was coming about. I was learning a little bit about the law and how, because I said that I had wanted to kill my dad, that I told the school counselors that I was going to kill him 2 weeks before I actually did it. They want to charge me for premeditated murder. And, it just looked really bad for me. And then the fucking Havel police came to the school and talked to me and said, will you hear that you have, because we got arrested for shoplifting. Me, my mother, my brother, my sisters, and mom. The whole family. We made the front page of the newspaper. Shoplifting, family affair. And my father ID'd himself as a Massachusetts state trooper, retired state trooper. And he had like $2,400 in cash on him. This guy was a klepto. He literally would go home and we'd take everything that we stole out of the store. He'd lay it out on the bed and add it up with a calculator.
He taught the family how to steal, right?
My God, to steal, yeah. And if we wanted to go to the mall, I would either have to steal something out of Radio Shack for him, like a CB or some electronics, something, or I'd have to steal a couple gun books. So it was like, yeah, you can go, but make sure you bring me back something.
So then you could go to the mall by yourself?
We really weren't by ourselves because we had two-way radios in our vehicles. We didn't have CBs. We had literally two-way band radios. He actually had state police crystals in his radio at the house. He could have literally keyed up and talked to state police if he wanted to. He never did. He had the capability of doing it. But it's fucking crazy.
You mean he could listen in to the state police?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we had police scanners, too. We had police scanners in the car. We had police scanners in the house.
Your father brought up his children to be criminals.
Yeah, he taught us how to make pipe bombs, told me how to break locks open, how to open windows, how to open locks. He was such an asshole. He would get mad about God only knows what. He was probably stressed out all the time about the fucking life he lived. I mean, as soon as we turned 5 years old, that's when we learned how to shoot. So he would tell us, if somebody's trying to break in the house, don't wait till they're in the house. Shoot them through the door, shoot them through the window. Shoot first, ask questions after. So he never wanted anybody to be able to get into the house. Guns everywhere. That's what actually, it not that it, because I was being tried as a juvenile, but it did come up in the trial, was because there are guns that I had walked past. I had walked past a rifle. I had walked past a semi-automatic gun, a couple handguns, and the DA was saying that I was an expert in ballistics because of all my training. And there was other people that testified that, oh, I know ballistics, and it was state police. And the DA said I was very specific about the weapon that I chose. And I was. I wanted to make sure that I was going to kill him with one shot, I didn't, but it didn't look good at trial. None of it looked good. So they found me guilty as a juvenile. Once I was fine. So like right after I did it, I couldn't find work. Nobody wanted to hire me. Everybody was looking at me like I was some sort of freak because I killed my father. Because it was okay to beat your kids back then, So I was trying to get Kelly to hate me because I thought that I was going to prison. And once I found out I wasn't going to prison, I felt like an asshole later because I hurt her so much. And, but then the drugs just got worse and worse. And
Did you use drugs while your father was still alive?
I smoked marijuana while my dad was alive. He was fuck, I was probably 13, maybe no, 11. But yeah, my father was accusing me. I was in the seventh grade. And he was accusing me of smoking marijuana because my eyes were red all the time. I wasn't sleeping. I had I had a nervous stomach and I had wicked bad anxiety and I had a bleeding ulcer. This is what all ended up. So I was hospitalized. I was throwing up all the time. And I'm puking and puking and puking and puking. Can't hold anything down. So they're like, listen, there's something wrong with this kid's GI tract. So I went to Children's Hospital in Boston. They did an upper GI, lower GI. Didn't see anything wrong. And then I had to drink this chalk shit. Oh, so gross. So I stayed there for several weeks, and they couldn't find anything wrong. They couldn't find nothing wrong. But I did have a bleeding ulcer. And they're like, there's no obstructions. I don't know why he can't hold his food down. It was because I was so nervous all the time.
Well, of course, they never checked on your home life.
Well, they wanted to, and my father took me out of the hospital. They said, well, so we're going to have a psychologist talk to you. I was gone that day. Nope. No one's talking to this kid. Yeah. One of my father's saying was, what's said in these walls stays in these walls. And he was very, 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 very adamant about that. That and don't let any of your fucking friends in this house.
You never had friends over?
They couldn't leave the kitchen right there at the doorway. My dad, we had guns in the house. He had a lot of gold. He had diamonds in there. He had a lot of stuff. And he always said, I don't want anybody walking through the house so they can case it and look for stuff that they can steal.
Oh, he was afraid of people stealing from him, yet it was him that was doing the stealing.
Right. Well, I mean, that's, guilty conscience shit.
So he didn't approve of you smoking marijuana.
So let me put it this way. He told me if he ever fucking saw me using drugs, I'll put a bullet in your fucking head. I'd rather see you dead than fucked up in the head. I'll take you out to the woods. I'll make you dig your own fucking grave. I'll shoot you in your head, and I'll let your brother fucking bury you. Those were his exact words. So, but he's smacking me around on the regular, saying, "Are you fucking stoned?" And I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck? I wasn't smoking weed, but I was too afraid. I had no interest." But I'm like, "Well, fuck this, man. I'm getting smacked. What is this marijuana? What is it? Okay, let's go find out." I don't know. It was a little relaxing. Made me feel a little fucking less stressed, a little bit. My nausea went away a little bit.
Oh, marijuana made you feel better, but if you got caught smoking it, you'd die.
I was already getting smacked around. So I'm like, well, if he's gonna fucking kill me, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. So fuck it.
Let's kill the boy, then bring him back to life. Here I go.
And I was a rebellious little fucker. I really was.
Well, good.
Yeah, I know. I mean, out of all five of us, I was the one who was up to no good all the time. My family, my brothers and sisters would be like, "Hey, will you ask Dad if we can go out?" Like, if I would be the one that they'd fucking go ask Dad if we can go to the movies, go ask Dad if we can go to the mall, go ask Dad if we can go get an ice cream, Half the time, we weren't even going where we said we were going. We were just going to meet up with some of our friends, or we would go to the mall, or we would go to the movies, but we would go see some of our friends. And sometimes we'd say we were going to the movies, and we wouldn't, and we'd go do something else. We'd go drink at some keg parties. And I remember my mother was telling us, because we would tell our mother, my poor mother,
fucking stress that we put that woman under because she would know what we were actually doing. She'd be like, oh my fucking God, these fucking kids, they're gonna get killed. She really didn't worry about us doing whatever the fuck we were doing. She worried about when we came home if my father would find out that we didn't do what we said we did.
Mark, what was it like to go and ask your father for permission to do something?
You don't want to disturb him. Like, you really didn't want, if he wasn't paying attention to you, if he wasn't on you, you didn't want to direct his attention to you. I got 1 second. My son's calling me. I'm sorry. Junior, what's up? I'm in the middle of an interview. All right. Contact Kelly, okay? Contact Kelly. Love you. Bye. Oh, you didn't send it? All right. Call her. I love you. Bye. My son coming over with his grandchildren, with my grandchildren.
How sweet. How wonderful.
So I don't know. He'd be reclined in his chair watching TV or watching the news or something, and I'd have to like kind of disturb him a little bit. Hey, Dad. So I'd ask my mother first, like, what kind of mood's he in? What do you think? You know, guess okay. You know, I'd ask my mother first, and I'd run it by her. I'd be like, what do you think? You know, oh, I don't know. Go ask him. You know, he's been in a good mood all day, so maybe he'll let you guys go. You know, so she'd be like, wait a little while. He's not. Don't disturb him just yet. So, but yeah, it was a scary because he'd look at you and say, "Fucking no, don't fucking bother me." Whoa, So now you're drawing yourself to his attention. And sometimes he'd get up and fucking start really lacing into you and then have you go do something. Oh, you fucking bored? You need something to fucking do? No, I don't. I need fucking invent some goddamn project for you.
So you all had to be strategists with your mom as the head, trying to work out how to approach him. You must have been a hero to your siblings.
Well, my brother Freddie wasn't able to communicate. He was totally, he was handicapped. He wore adult diapers and drooled.
How was your father with Freddie?
Well, he didn't hit him. But he really didn't, recognize him as his son. It wasn't like he was proud of him or anything like that. He just, yeah.
And you had another brother, Mike?
Yeah, a half-brother, Michael. He had another wife. This is a wife we didn't know about. Well, I didn't know about.
Was he still married to her while he was married to your mom?
As far as I know. He never divorced any of his wives. But I guess my mother was his third or fourth.
Okay, well, let me flip over to Kelly. Why didn't your father like her?
Because anything that took my attention away from what I was doing at home, any type of distraction, we couldn't have distractions. And so I was falling in love with this girl, and she's becoming a distraction. I'd call her on the phone. I'd want to talk to her. I'd be reading letters that she wrote me, just stuff like that. And she was a distraction, and he knew that. And he didn't want me to get her pregnant either, because she had come to Vermont with us, and he actually let me bring her to Vermont. We went away for the weekend, and her parents let her come up there with us. And her and I were laying on the couch out where we had a fireplace. It was a wood burning stove with a clear screen, and he came out and grabbed me by my hair and pulled me off the couch and said, "And you better not fucking get her pregnant," and smacked me. It was ridiculous. And then later on, he wanted me to go drink beers and watch porn with him. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna go do that for when I have a girlfriend? Like, why are you going? You have a wife.
Well, that seems rather hypocritical.
Mark, when we spoke prior to this interview, you mentioned something about your dad and the water well in your yard. Can you speak about that?
We had a well, and it had a cover to it, but he built another cover and put a lock on it. He had it cemented in and everything. And then he had us put like 8 feet of stone inside the well. And then he started pouring bleach in there all the time. So he said the rocks and the bleach was going to purify the water.
Were you drinking that water?
No, we weren't drinking it. We never drank that fucking water. But what was fucked up is I don't know if he put a body in there. Look, what the fuck was he? What did we put 8 foot of fucking stone? What did we bury? And are you pouring fucking bleach in it? So my friends are like, well, it could have been could be gold. Because I'm like, why would bleach? I'm like, what's fucking bleach? So I think fucking body.
It's pretty much what it sounds like. My goodness, I could listen to these stories all day, but let's move on to your prison years. Was that about 20 years of your life, Mark?
So 16, 17. Yeah, like 19, 20 years.
Mark, how do you think about those years? As all one experience or the different sentences being different experiences?
Like the jail time, it was more disruptive than anything, because you get ripped out of your life, you lose contact with everybody. And so I really can't say that I can put them all together, because every time I was arrested, it was an event, and I lost something, like money or a friend or a wife. I had to start over a few times.
So I started using heroin in jail. And I started learning how to break into safes in jail. And I learned about fucking hating pedophiles and snitches and rats, hitting child molesters and rapists. People who were snitches or something, we'd make sure that they got off the block. So, doing shit like that.
Well, that's not unusual.
No, it's prison life. I mean, it's exactly what you think, basically what you see on TV. It is. I mean, some jails and some prisons are worse, and some of them are better. I mean,
And you were the head of your group, right?
so up in New Hampshire, I was in. It was a small group of us. So, I mean, it was a sentence block, and there wasn't really no structure of a pod boss or anything like that. It was just too many people that were in there on coming in and out. It was just a lot of white guys. And then I say a lot, there was probably 16 of us, maybe the most in that jail on that block, maybe 25 or 30. Yeah, and that's not a lot of people. And so, and then that jail was kind of a joke. But in Massachusetts, you go into Middleton, and you go on to the different blocks. They've got the gang blocks, they've got the drug blocks.
Whether you're a Blood, a Crip, or a Lawtown, there's so many gangs. I mean, there's just so many. And then different neighborhoods have smaller gangs. But I was all set. I had done prison time. I know how to fight. And it was a small group of people. There was 80 people on the block. And they do have pod bosses. They want one for the white guys, one for the black guys, one for the Hispanics. So yeah, I was at, different moments. Yes, I was a pod boss, and I had a store for a little while, but I'd done this small bids up in when I was in Massachusetts. I mean, in prison, I didn't have any clout other than my reputation as being me as a stand-up guy or a fighter. You know what I mean? I wasn't a target. Let me put it that way. I was actively seeking child molesters and rapists and breaking their balls and making them feel as uncomfortable as possible. Try to intimidate them. I would try to make them feel nervous, uneasy, because I fucking don't appreciate those people. You know? And
So you were respected because you were tough.
well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't the toughest guy there, but yeah, I didn't take any shit from anybody. No. And it's just so people, respect you because of the way you carry yourself. The way, if somebody says something to you, how you handle yourself, and whether or not you're over there begging for shit, or if you're, if you have a little bit of money, you're using the phone, you're getting visits, so they see, okay, people care about this kid, or he actually has contacts outside, oh, he's got money, he's getting food. And, if they see that, they might think that, okay, well, we can prey on this motherfucker because he's got money, he's got this, he's got that. And then when somebody steps to you and sees how you react, like, fuck you, get the fuck, what? Oh, like, let me get that candy bar. Fuck you. You want that fucking candy bar? Come on in. Let me get that soup. When they say it, hey, you think you can give me something? Then yes. But when they say it, hey, let me get that. No, fuck you. You know what you're getting? You're getting a fucking punch in your mouth.
And it starts when you first go in too. I mean, because it'll follow you throughout your whole bit. It's just, and you try to get along with all the races. I mean, I did. They'll have racist tattoos on me. I went into New Hampshire. God, I got so much ink on me. It's crazy. But it's all things that represent me and my past. I have a lot of death on me, though, too. I have gravestones on me. I have the Reaper on me. I have the Death Dealer on me. I have the Night Stalker. I've got see no evil, hear no evil.
What do the tattoos represent to you, the death ones?
We can't.
Gotcha. Let's move on from there. Did you at any point in those 20 years get used to that lifestyle?
Yeah.
Well, it takes about 6 months before you stop living on the street. Like, I've done a year here, 2 years there, then 4. So, I mean, you get in there, you start getting comfortable. You're not thinking about, oh my God, right now I'd be, at the bar right now, or I would be here, or Memorial Day weekend, I'd be in Vermont, or I'd be in New York, or I would be in Florida, or I'd be somewhere. I wouldn't be sitting in fucking prison, in jail. So you think about all that stuff. But once you're in there and you acclimated, you're back. It's like you're not really thinking about your girlfriend, your wife, or any of that. You're thinking about what the fuck's going on in here. So they focused now what's going on around you because it's dangerous. You don't know. People are in there, they're not good. You know what I mean? They're not good people.
And you have a whole fucking shit ton of them. So, I mean, you have to keep your head on a swivel. You have to watch people when they get off their phone calls. You have to watch people when they come back from their parole hearing. You have to watch people when they come back from fucking court, if they're lifers and they're trying to flip their case. I mean, you need to be, you're very, very hypersensitive around everything around you. But I grew up like that. My father, basically, the way he brought me up, I mean, he would beat me all the fucking time, so I wasn't afraid to fight. And I wasn't afraid to get hit, especially by any man or anybody, because my dad was 240 pounds. He was 6'2", 6'3". He knew how to strike. He knew how to hit. So when I got in my first fight and I got hit, I was like, what the fuck is that? I mean, that don't hurt.
We ain't got no fear. We ain't going nowhere. Hope you ready into the jungle. Into the jungle. Bring it on. What in the world, huh? You all of my nerves, huh? You never return, huh? When you enter in the jungle.
So basically, you were tough mentally and physically.
I didn't realize how my pain threshold or what. But when I was getting IVs and stuff, going to the hospital after, they're like, wow, your skin's really thick. You know, I was like, huh. And then, you know, it's like a football, I guess, or some shit. You just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it on canvas or whatever. It does tend to get a little bit thicker, you know, a little bit tougher. And I don't know, you get used to it. You know, getting hit I didn't really care, you know. And I went into a fight thinking that I could win, hoping I could win, but not giving a fuck if I lost because, you know, and in prison they tell you, you know, and I wasn't even in there. When I thought I was going to prison for killing my dad, I was talking to a friend of mine who was affiliated with the Hells Angels back then, and he said, "Don't worry, kid, you're gonna be fine." He goes, "You know, you're in there on a respectable crime. No way you're gonna break your balls." And he goes, "Just don't take any shit from anybody." He goes, "It doesn't matter if you win or lose." He goes, "Just as long as you show up and don't take any shit, so people don't take you as, you know, prey. As long as you stick up for yourself and you stand up for yourself and you still lose, then at least you will gain the respect of the person who you just fought, and you'll gain respect of everybody else that sees you fight. You'll actually get people to help you. You know, they'll say, well, you know, at least the kid's willing to fight for himself. He didn't do a good job, so you know what? I'll help him out." And I actually did that for a few people. And I was like, fucking people getting stuff stolen from them. I'd be like, yeah, no. That when you're in there, you need to stick together. You need to be a unit. And you don't fucking stab each other. You don't fight each other. And you don't steal from one another. Or it's just, you know, I'd by those rules, then I'll hang out with you and I'll respect you and I'll have your back. But if not, then go fuck yourself, you know?
It seems to be its own society in there.
Prison life sucks. It's lonely in there, you know? You want to get visits, but then you don't want to get visits because the anticipation of the visit itself, getting ready for it, anticipating the guards. Are they going to fuck with you? Are they going to fuck with your visitor? Because when they're coming in, they're going to search them. Are they going to break their balls? Are they going to turn them away? They're going to say that ID's no good or this is bad. So that, and just knowing that that's the shit that your visitor's going through is very stressful. And then you see them and you're excited and then you have to say goodbye. It's hard. That piece of normalcy, you know, you actually with somebody that cares about you, that you can hold for a moment and embrace and feel like, you know, like I can trust this person. And it's just, it sucks because then you're waiting for fucking mail. You hear, you know, people's names being called out, mail call, and you never hear your name being called. It sucks. You know, not getting visits or fucking, just all of it. It's lonely, very lonely. And then fucking, you get served with divorce papers or fucking something. It's just, when I was in Concord, I mean, fuck it. I don't even want to get into it. My sister and my wife came to visit me. We were talking about having a child when I got out, and her waiting. I'm like, let's not have it. Like, I didn't want to marry her because the time I was facing, but she did show me a little bit piece of normalcy, and I knew that relationship actually gave me the springboard the life I have now.
How so, Mark?
Did a program and I got out, and I was using Suboxone. It was somewhat normal. I wasn't getting really high on cocaine. I was on bail. Anyhow, she wanted to get married. I'm like, no. This ain't gonna work. You know, I had just gotten divorced. And she's like, I'm not like anybody else. And anyways, I don't want to get into all that, but we ended up getting married, and we 2 weeks later I got sentenced. Yeah, and she's like, oh, I can wait. I'm like, don't fucking wait. Not 10 years. You know what I mean? That's a long time.
Well, what happened with that relationship?
I didn't appreciate how she did it, but she broke it off, you know, and visited me with my sister from Las Vegas. And we're sitting there talking about how wonderful life's going to be when I get out and how, you know, she wants to have another child and yada, yada, yada. And I don't really want to talk about any of this. Well, I guess we can, but I'm not trying to fucking make her feel rotten.
No, of course not. But you can just speak from your own point of view.
The conversations we're having were about our future, and she never answered the fucking phone ever again. That was the last time I talked to her, spoke to her, fucking saw her. Until I got my divorce papers. It was hard. I was calling hospitals. I was calling fucking... And I was inside jail worrying so bad for her, and she wouldn't answer my sister's call. She wouldn't answer. It was just fucking horrible. It was rough. But anyhow, the year I was out with her, I lived a normal life. Like, I got a taste of, like, I was hanging out with my son, we were carving pumpkins, and it was like fucking... I'm like, I'm actually happy. I'm like, I can do this. I can live without, you know, being really, really, really fucked up. So I was just a little bit of a taste of, you know, it gave me hope. And so I'm sitting in prison and I'm like, you know what? You got 10 years. Let's not put it to fucking waste.
Mark, when did you get clean? Was it while you were still in prison?
Yeah, I decided I had to work on myself. And I wasn't going to use heroin or cocaine. I'm like, I got to stop using all these fucking drugs. And Shirley had a lot of fucking sex offenders and pedophiles and sex crimes and just fucking maggot piece of shits. And they're all on medication. So I was on mental health medications myself, so I would have to go on this med line with all these fucking maggots. So I got off my medications because I couldn't fucking stand in line with these pieces of shits anymore. Got to stay in the line, fucking breathing the same air as this piece of shit. So, and I didn't need them. They're fucking useless, you know?
I'm ready to give it all up. I'm tossing, leaving this concrete jungle. There's no limit to it all when you're where you belong.
So you got yourself clean. When you got out, what did you do?
So, luckily, was fucked up. I didn't have any money when I got out, when I was like, oh shit, you know, I'm gonna get out. I'm not gonna have anything. What's going on? My uncle ended up dying. My father's brother. It's worth about $500,000. Anybody who was related to him got a little piece of his pie. I ended up getting $19,000. That was good gate money. I was like, yeah.
What's gate money?
So when you leave, they give you $100. They give you $100. Just get a bus or a train or a meal. No, they give you enough money so you can get the fuck out of that town, go somewhere else and commit a crime. Yeah, get the fuck out. Here's $100.
So from the time you got out, when and how did you reconnect with Kelly?
So I got out, and well, the whole time I was in there, I was thinking about hooking up with her and trying to find him when it, you know. But I thought she was engaged. So when I did get out, I just started sleeping around a little bit. She was dating a couple other people too, and we ended up dating for a little while, and I was dating some other girls that she knew. But then Kelly started catching feelings a little bit. And she's like, listen, you know, I'm thinking that maybe we should get a little bit more serious about this, and why don't you? And I had a girl living in my house with me who I was getting serious with, and I think she could tell that I was getting serious with her. Kelly's always been my girl. Forever and ever. She always will be. So I'm like, well, I did care about this girl. Yeah, but she knew the relationship Kelly and I had. So I ended up fucking progressively getting worse with my addiction and started shooting up cocaine. Again. And Kelly come up and I'm like, Kelly, will you marry me? And I told her that I was shooting up and she's like, what? I was like, fucking, will you marry me? And I'm like, I'm a junkie. I'm like, I've been shooting up. I need fucking help. So, she said yes, and she was, obviously fucking disappointed. She was crying. But, I guess in some aspect, respected me for being honest with her, I guess. Yep. But still, I wasn't being 100% honest with myself either, just, it was so much worse than what I was saying to myself, or admitting to, like, oh, I got this. It's not that bad. It was bad. So I came down here. I had some Suboxone, and I got here, and Kelly fucking flushed it all down the toilet. She's like, that's it. You don't need this shit. You're like, yeah, you're right. And then I went and had my surgery done on my knee, so I was still in a lot of pain. And that was the whole thing. Like, I was in so much fucking pain, I didn't want to stop using the painkillers because I was in a lot of fucking pain. And then I went up there and they took the rod out. I mean, they took all the 2 pins out and the shit that was wrapped around it, all the wire. So much better. And they gave me a prescription and I didn't abuse it and I was fine. And I was like, oh, thank God. But I had almost 12. Let me see, I did those 10. I had a really large amount, almost 12 years sobriety. And then I started eating those pills and it wasn't but 2 weeks. So I had all that clean time and then 2 weeks of taking the medication. I was full-blown addicted. Like, my tolerance was fucking skyrocketed. It was crazy. And the thing is, I want more. And I don't get wicked fucked up. I just want to stay at a fucking nice, even heel, but for a long time. I want to make it stretch out. I want to stay high for days, weeks, months, years. I don't want to be so fucked up that I can't communicate or function. Don't want to be straight. That's how I was until I actually realized that being straight is way better.
Yeah, I keep doing my own thing. Yeah, never looking back again. I can get it, I can make it, yeah, I know it. And I'm never looking back again. Yeah, never looking back again.
So you're clean of pills at this point.
Everything. The last narcotic I took was 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. So you've had quite a number of years clean and sober.
Well, I chopped my toe up, and they gave me some medication. I took it the way I was supposed to, and so people say, "Oh, well, you don't count that." You know what I mean? Because you weren't addicted to anything; you were just taking medication. But I still introduced it into my body. So I mean, I did have the effect of the narcotic, whether fucking for pain or pleasure, I still introduced it to my body. So, I mean, it's all about perspective. Yeah, I wasn't seeking it for pleasure. I was seeking it for relief. But still, it was introduced. So, yeah, it's been about 4 years, maybe 5.
Well, I mean, you're in a different space now. You can take that for your pain relief and not be addicted to it.
Right, exactly. Right. And it was, I felt good, too, because I knew that I could actually take it as prescribed. I was beyond that wanting to get high. So, and I would tell myself, okay, well, you're not going to be in that much pain anymore. You took the medication, and I wouldn't get high anymore. And so when I did take the medication, I didn't feel good. It wouldn't give me that uplifting, oh, I'm not me no more. I like being I am very, very satisfied and comfortable with the person I am today. I really enjoy being clean. I can think better. I can respond better. It's funny because I believe in karma, And I've hurt a lot of people along my way. Sold a lot of fucking drugs to a lot of people. I've destroyed a lot of lives, and I'm aware of this, and I'm not proud of it. It is what it is. And not that I twisted anybody's arm to buy drugs from me, but I did do a lot of drugs with a lot of people. I've ruined a lot of lives. I was a catalyst to a lot of fucked up things. I was a part of a lot of fucked up stuff. You know, and that's my fucking truth, my realization. Shit, I have to fucking wake up and look in the mirror and say, hold myself accountable.
Well, Mark, I understand why you would feel that way, but I don't agree with you. I feel like when someone makes a choice to buy the drugs from you, that's their choice and their responsibility. It's not yours. I don't think you've really ruined anybody's lives. They've chosen to do what they're doing, and if it weren't buying it from you, it would be buying it from somebody else. So I really don't think you're responsible. And right now you're clean. I mean, you can control your pain medication if you need to use them. You've got your own business now, you're successful, and you're wanting to help other people. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to help others?
Well, I try to share my story, but it's hard. I mean, I'm torn. I want to help people, but I don't want to go in these rooms sometimes. It's painful for me. So anyways, I want to let people know that, you know, no matter how fucked up you are, how fucked up you've been, or I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really a bad person. I did some fucked up stuff.
Tell me about those rooms and what happens to you when you go into those rooms to talk to people and try and help them.
So I see a lot of suffering souls, you know, all with myself. I want people to understand that, you know, listen, I was way worse than you, and I have a perfectly good life, but it's like at the end of the day, I don't want to say like I can't be bothered, because I want to help people, but it's like I'm friggin' tired, and it's so, the emotion, it's like taxing. It's weird. Like when I leave here, or when I leave, and if I tell my story or even a part of it, it runs. It continues. And it will go on for days. And then I got certified as a recovery coach. I did it for two reasons. One, to educate myself, because I'm fucked up. I was brought up in a really fucked up household for 16 and a half years. Wasn't taught anything good. And then my dad controlled my whole life. Told me how to think, you know, what to do. And then right after I escaped his grip, I fucking got addicted to drugs. I was doing drugs, and then I was incarcerated. So then I had fucking the state controlling me, and I don't know, and then go into different rooms, and it's painful. And I don't like crying. I feel weak. I feel like feeling vulnerable. I don't like feeling weak. And when I'm in this moment, I feel that way a little bit, you know.
It takes vulnerability, Mark. And to be vulnerable, you need to be strong, and you are strong. I've never gotten any impression that you're weak. I don't feel like you're weak. I feel like you're strong, and you have pent up those emotions for 16 plus years, probably way more than that. And, you know, this is the way that you release them. And it's a beautiful thing. You're not weak at all.
I'm lucky. I'm very, very, God blessed me the ability to not want to get high anymore. I've made the decision that I'm not going to pick up cocaine or heroin ever again. And I don't have to. And the thing is, I know I'll never ever have an addiction to that stuff, just as long as I don't fucking pick it up. It is that fucking simple. Sometimes I don't want to sit in a room and listen to people, you know, and because it's like, oh, my God, That poor motherfucker. I remember. You know, but I do want to go in there and give people hope and strength because of the shit that I've gone through.
I want to thank you so much for being here today, Mark. It's taken such bravery and courage for you to go and recount your life, which is one of the most extraordinarily challenging lives that I've ever heard. And I'm so happy that you've come out the other side. And I know that you've got a lot of issues to work with, but you're coming here and sharing this with us today is so greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I had some pictures and stuff that I had put together last night. I don't know where the fuck I put them. You better be kidding me. I don't know if Kelly moved them. So I spent about 5 minutes after I told you I'm on my way. I'm like, fuck. But I have some pictures of it's weird, is I had pictures of me as a child in a jail cell wearing a Massachusetts State Police shirt. And as an adult, I spent fucking time in that same fucking cell. We knew the trooper that was working that night. So we went to the barracks, and me and my brother were locked in the cells, and we play in there. And I thought I'd be a trooper. I was going to be a state trooper. That was my fucking dream. My photo of graduation for getting out of the 8th grade. What do you want to be? A Mass State Trooper. Fucking 2 years later, a year and a half later, I was fucking convicted of murder.